Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and in today's video I'm going to be giving my instant reaction to Francisco Rodriguez Jr. winning via unanimous decision versus Galal Yafai. And so if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So Rodriguez Jr. was this tough Mexican in which everybody kind of expected would be a tough challenge for Galal Yafai, but I think a lot of people underestimated the ability of Rodriguez Jr. to just be able to keep going and to really showcase a real tough Mexican style, which was often too much for many fighters at a high level, and really did, even though he had multiple defeats on his record, really has pushed some of the elite best fighters in the division continuously, and he was able to do that against Galal Yafai and have continuous amounts of success. And now he is, of course, WBC interim world flyweight champion. I mean, going into the fight he looked very happy, very much like he was just enjoying himself kind of being there. And I think it's the whole experience was definitely a showcasing of the experience that Rodriguez Jr. has. He showcased that he could kind of go into the fight, feel confident, feel happy, feel like he was just enjoying the moment, even as the away fighter. You know, he's used to being this away fighter and he's used to fighting the top guys, in which I've touched upon, and he just seemed like he was enjoying himself throughout the entirety of the fight. And I mean, he started off very quickly. Of course, the whole fight was an intense firefight in which over 1,000 punches were thrown within the first half of the fight, and it was a real shootout, a relentless shootout, of course, from Rodriguez. And I mean, he almost knocked him out in the first round. You could see Galal Yafai's feet getting kind of weak continuously, and continuously was just taking big hit after big hit on multiple different occasions. I think, you know, the first round he got really hurt. Then he had a couple rounds where he was getting bits of success and perhaps was doing enough to win the fight, and then maybe he grew into the fight a little bit. He was quite composed even when he was getting caught with shots. I think throughout the entirety of the fight, that is one of the reasons in which I believe he was able to stay in there for so long, was the fact that he was very composed. I think he showed a real showcase of how to survive Galal Yafai in a fight like that. He was continuously going in for the clinch. He was trying to push Rodriguez off him the entirety of the fight, and yes, was standing toe to toe, which I suppose moves away from that kind of good mindset of him surviving. But even though he was standing toe to toe, he wasn't just continually trading the entirety of the fight, where he was just, you know, yes, he was getting caught quite a lot, but he was often clinching and clinching at really important moments. He wasn't trading in moments when he was hurt. He was going to the clinch then, and I think that's what's very important for a fighter to be able to do. And I mean, he got rocked on multiple occasions. I think there was a lot of talk about Yafai's lack of experience, and I think that did play a significant factor, but I also think the lack of pro mileage helped Yafai. I think the lack of just straight out wars in which he's been in has helped Yafai in this fight, because I mean, he had the cut on the eye early on. I mean, they both ended up getting cut around the eye in the end, and to be fair, Rodriguez was arguably worse, but you know, Yafai's was early on in the fight, and he was getting caught, like I say, from the very start, but he was able to, of course, stick in there and only got knocked down in that 12th and final round. He was, like I say, able to stay in there, and that was really impressive to see, because it showcased so much heart. And I think if he'd you know, at 32 years old, he could have been in many more pro fights and had many more wars against more tough Mexicans. And if he was continually having these wars, then he would have, of course, really been wearing down on his career. And due to the fact that, yes, he's been moved quickly, and yes, perhaps this was a fight too soon for him, he showcased that he wasn't kind of fading away at any point, and he really still had that heart in there, which a lot of fighters who, of course, you know, are his age but have had more contests perhaps don't have. And I mean, I don't realistically recommend him going and having loads more fights like this, but I do think that is his style. I think he's been getting a lot of hate, to be honest, about him sticking with Rob McCracken, and a lot of people blaming McCracken for the reason why Yafai's defense was quite poor in this fight. And I mean, realistically, Yafai's defense has never been anything that impressive, and so maybe that could be a bit of a reason. I mean, obviously McCracken's been with Yafai since the amateur days, and he needs to be able to kind of develop his own style, perhaps a little bit more so now. And so it wouldn't surprise me if perhaps off this loss, the loss was what he needed to now go on to try and fight with a new coach. And I think he definitely has showcased that he has the heart, he has the grit to be able to deal with these world level guys, but maybe he needs to go on, like I say, and find his own path with a new coach, with a new team at this point. And often that is the case, of course, for when you lose in a fight. And, when I look back upon that fight with him and Sonny Edwards, I'm still sad to see the fact that we never actually got to see a Sonny Edwards fight against Yafai at his peak, because I mean, now Yafai's lost against Rodriguez, it does again dampen the record of Sonny and everything like that. But I think Sonny was a really good fighter, and he knew how to fight kind of 100% perfect fights, which is just something in which very few fighters are ever able to do. And I don't know. I still believe that there was a chance in which Sonny could have definitely at his peak, and a Sonny performance in which perhaps he was more so in that youthfulness, that youthful prime, and wanted to go out there and put on a show. I think he definitely could have had much more so success against Yafai and could have caused him more so problems. And inevitably that wasn't what we saw, and we've just now seen him lose. And it will be intriguing to see how he comes back from this, because realistically, I don't think there should be a rematch with Rodriguez. I don't believe, obviously he was the big name and he got upset in his hometown, and it is going to harm Birmingham boxing, because he was probably the biggest, well, the best name, not the biggest, but the best name. Ben Whittaker's probably the biggest at the moment, but the best name coming out of Birmingham at the moment. So that's definitely going to harm it. But like I say, I just don't think that there should be an instant rematch made. Obviously, maybe if the money's right, Rodriguez Jr., the Mexican fighter, probably would want to try and do it again. But I think because of how dominant the performance was by Rodriguez, I just wouldn't see that it would go to make a rematch and make sense for there to be a rematch. I don't think it could be sold as a good rematch, to be completely honest. So to be fair, I would say that perhaps a Rodriguez fight for the world title next could actually be plausible. I mean, if Yafai had gone on to win against Rodriguez, I was still thinking that there was maybe another 1, 2 more fights before he can really think about going in for a world title fight against a Taraji. But I think of Rodriguez, obviously he's been battle tested. He's fought some of the best names. Obviously, he hasn't always had the kind of best of luck, but he's a former world title unified champion, and so I definitely believe he could go on to fight the winner of Taraji versus Sandoval. And I'm sure Taraji, if he does win, would be more than willing to give Rodriguez Jr. the opportunity, because he knows that it will be an entertaining contest, and I think it would be a great fight for Taraji to showcase that he is levels above these younger crop coming through in the likes of a Galal Yafai. So again, I think that could be something that could definitely happen possibly as a next fight. But overall, a very entertaining fight, a very entertaining card, to be completely honest, especially the co-main and the main. And inevitably now it will, of course, be interesting to see, with an upset for Rodriguez Jr., how Galal Yafai is going to be progressed as a result of this, and if he can get back to fighting at a world level anytime soon. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like video if you did, like video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.